Welcome to Judge Me Not, a safe place to have real conversations with real ass people. Hey y'all, hey. Welcome to another episode of the Judge Me Not podcast. I am your pretty cool host, NVD. At least I think so myself. What the fuck is up? Y'all know I gotta start by checking in. How are you? How are you feeling? Who has been checking up on you? Be mindful of that and move accordingly. Y'all know my motto. If you got time for a podcast, life can't be that bad. And if life is that bad, do you really have time for a podcast? Priorities, priorities, keep them straight. Where have I been? Where have I been? Minding my business, tending to reality. To my it's been like 3 years since I've done this podcast, believe it or not. Thank shout out to COVID for giving me the motivation. But for the people who's been rocking with me from the beginning, y'all know it's not normal for me to dip off, not only from this or any of my business ventures, but social media in general, like, and the people who know me in real life, I will dip off in real life too. Like, you gotta pull up on me or text me and be like, "Good, you good? Yeah, I'm good. I'm breathing. I'm alive. I'm just dipped off in my own zone." Like, I'm really big on energy. If I feel like I'm dealing with something personally or I'm unbalanced, what I don't want to do is to push off that uncertainty of energy on anybody else. I don't want to snap on anybody else who isn't deserving. And I also don't want to overload myself with intense lower level energy from social media that add on to what I'm currently dealing with by carrying other people's issues that don't belong to me. So, baby, I will dip off and focus on reality real quick, which is something that I wish everybody else would find comfort in doing because social media is the rabbit hole. And it is a void filler beyond belief. It is a distraction from reality, and people have created these completely different self personas and lifestyles online that do not match who they are and where they currently are in real life. Baby, I love TikTok. I feel like TikTok really has good uses, but a part of me is like, get rid of all this motherfucking shit. Write me a letter, call me, pull up on me. Like, let's get back to genuine connections. I promise you, there wouldn't be so much static. But that's for another episode today. What we talking about, girl? Baby, we talking about a woman can't raise a man. That's it. Just is what it is. I made a post a while back and was just like, no matter how much we like to have a debate, a woman cannot teach a boy how to be a man. And there's so many women who are bitter and find whatever reason to push the man out of their children's life. And they overlook the fact of how important a male presence is in any child's life, but definitely a boy, especially if that boy is black. And as a proud mom of a young man, I had to come to the terms with that. And I'm a very like self-aware person and I take breaking generational curses so seriously the older I'm getting that I am intentional in everything that I do. Perfect? No. Intentional? Yes. So this has been something that I love to engage with, especially with the black men that I'm surrounded by or that I encounter. And over time, it has been a very hard pill to swallow, but it is the reality. I have always battled with not becoming a statistic of a baby mama and not pulling my son away from his father, right? Like, I don't want to be put in that statistic. However, it's been like a thin line because I procreated very young. And if I knew what I know now, I would not have procreated with the individuals that I did. Because, baby, it makes co parenting harder when one person outgrows the other and you don't have the same life views on life, right? It makes everything hard. And not only does it make everything hard, it makes everything a argument. So for those people who don't know, I went through this huge custody battle with my son's dad, and it's been something that I never spoke about publicly. I kept it on wraps. Some people know about it, some people don't. Long story short, sole custodial parent for both of my children for forever, even though my baby father is way older than me. Age doesn't define maturity, but I'm not here to throw stones. I'm just here to give facts. And it became a point to where my son went for a summer with his father, and when he was supposed to come back, he did not bring him back. Not only did he not bring him back, he felt like, oh, I'm going to put you on the opposite side. And even though you have been raising my child, it looked like you doing real good up there. Pause. So some people are aware. I'm from the country. When I say the country, I'm talking about a population maybe over 2,000. We have one red light still to this day. Our high school is pre-K through 12th grade in one building. So, baby, when I say I'm country, if you can't hear it, I am country, country, backwoods, southern Texas country. So, automatically, the lack of common sense and economic understanding is if you live in the city, then you got money. I don't know how they get it, but baby, that's what they equate to. Okay. So, not only does this man not give my child back, but he goes and tries to put me on child support and he get food stamps. Mind you, I think I was getting like maybe $25 a month at the time, but okay, whatever. By the grace of God, I went through, I want to say, 2 years of court custodial battles. And again, I am from the country. There is no black judges. There are no black lawyers. There are no black owned businesses where I'm from. And I had been gone from the country so long when I went back. The people in the county had no recollection of who I was. It was just my name on a piece of paper. Luckily, I'm very educated, so I did represent myself. And your girl made connections. Baby, I was calling that court office. Okay, so if I can't get to the judge because he was looking at I am a single black woman in a urban city. I have no reason or no business trying to raise a young man, especially when he could be in the country being raised by his father, right? Mind you, don't matter who got a steady job, who got a criminal history, who has a system that works of who's going to watch my child, help my child with his homework or whatever. All that was thrown out. But you play checkers, baby. I'm going to play chess. One thing that is never, ever, ever, ever to be underestimated is the power of a black woman, let alone a black mother. And baby, once I get in them books and I get to reading, that is one thing. When I get in them books and I get to reading and people start connecting me with the right people to help me with the legal jargon and financially backing me so that I can represent myself, oh man, I am unstoppable. And that's what I was. Baby, I was calling, getting friends with the county clerk. I was calling, making friends with the sheriff who had to subpoena the stuff. I was calling Monday through Friday, making friends with the people who make shit work on the back ends. So by the time it was time for us to go to court, then it was like, oh, you may not know her, but her grandfather or her uncle is this person and that person. Long story short, I got my baby back. I got my baby back and I had to go through some shit to get my baby back. And I really was put in a very difficult space mentally because best believe all I wanted to do was get rid of the situation and then the issue would no longer be an issue. But you know, but God, you can't do good people evil. I got my baby back, but I had completely disconnected from the person that I had procreated with. Like, every ounce of me could not stand this person because I had went through so much. And those of you who know, over the years I went through so much. You groomed me. We have a huge age difference. I gave my youthhood to you. Physically, mentally, emotional abuse. You took me through so much. Yet I never wanted to be that statistic of pulling my son away from his father because he is a black child and he needs a black father figure, right? But that put me in a position to tolerate my abuser. So for him to do that, it was like a slap in the face and a spit publicly in the face because I had been silent for so many years and then you try to negatively portray me as a poor mother. Baby, when I tell you it broke me, it broke me. But God don't like ugly, and I don't even have to reiterate on everything that negative that not only affected him, but it's affected everyone that was associated to him. Because baby, when God says he will make your enemies your footstool. Ooh, it's not funny at all, but it's just the truth. So fast forward to 3, 4 years. My son is now 15, and we really don't talk about how crucial 15 is for children, especially nowadays when it's an overload of information, it's an overload of opportunities, and the pressure of being like a certain type of way is so heavy on our children, especially our black children, our black young girls and our black young boys. So it is so important to surround them by a positive tribe and just keep it 100 with your kids. A lot of conversations that I have with my partners is like, especially when they turn teenagers, do your teenagers know who you were and how much work you put into becoming who you are? Baby, my kids know old Delisa. I let them hear the stories from my family members. I pull out the pictures because there is nothing that you can try to do that your mama ain't did it and master it. Because if you think you 2 steps ahead of me, baby, I am 10 steps ahead of you. These millennial parents, you can't outsmart. We know technology. We know social media. Like we were raised up on this, so it is nothing that you can outdo. You can't wipe nothing. You can't use these little apps. Baby mama is all in it. Do you hear me? Because I was sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Well, by the grace of God, I have good kids. By the time I was 15, baby, I had been fucking since I was 12. I was already on drugs. I was partying, heavy alcoholic. I had all A's and I was very respectful, but don't get it twisted. I was very much so in the streets. That's how my baby daddy ended up being 10, 12 years older than me. But also, my parents were, in the system, so I really didn't have the guidance that I needed. Thank God I have common sense, and I turned out okay. But my son is 15, and he dropping his nuts. And I started to see the push and pull of boundaries. And then I started to see the grades drop and things like that, just typical teenage shit. But my fear again is I've been in the streets. I still battle with staying out of the streets. So these are conversations over the years that I have had with black men who chose the streets, but in reality, they had an amazing single mother that went to college, had a great career, had a house, like afforded vacations and shit like that. Or even if their parents were divorced, their father was present. But somehow they chose to still be involved in the streets. And over time, you hear like, well, my mama was always busy, she wasn't around. Or she just didn't allow me to have my identity. Or I feel like they were keeping something secret from me, and then I would go with this side of the family and they was doing this and doing that and it looked it fun, and then it was like, okay, I'm gonna choose that over rules, boundaries, the strictness. And in their late 30s, late 20s, okay, it made sense what their mom was trying to protect them from and who their mom was trying to prepare them to be for society. They still chose their own path. Very self conscious, I am. Again, I take breaking generational curses very seriously. I am so aware that once me and my son started bumping heads, that this is where we were. And I would have conversations with the men in my family who would say, I have to tread lightly. I have to tread lightly about how I portray his father, even if his father doesn't make the right choices in my eyes. I have to tread very lightly how I speak of him, how I portray of him, because I do not want to push my son away. At some points, it wasn't making sense for me because I'm like, I'm doing this, and this, and this, and this to provide this life for him. I just don't understand how at 15 he's not seeing that. But again, at 13, I was way more mature and in adult lifestyle than my son was. So that was me trying to force who I want him to be on him, right? So that's a conversation that the men kept on telling me. You have to tread lightly at this point, at this age, because he's figuring out who he wants to be and how he wants to enter in life. Understand that And then it's also on the flip side, I don't want to over project who I want him to be and over explain how much I have sacrificed, how hard I have worked to be able to give him a certain lifestyle that it undo does my good intentions, and I just become overbearing, and I just become like I have unrealistic high expectations because every mother feels like they know their child, which we do. But when it comes to puberty and teenage years, shit, we know what we did. I know what I did. I knew right from wrong, but I still at the end of the day was going to do what I wanted to do. And I know who I procreated, and I know what type of person he was. So I couldn't put that on my child without saying, I got a damn good child. You know what I'm saying? Like at this age, I was wilding. At this age, his father was a menace to society. So I have a really good child, and I have to really listen to what he's trying to express to me and not comprehend it to my expectations, but really listen to what he's trying to tell me, right? So we end up bumping heads and clashing and clashing. And my fear has always been my anger being expressed to my children. My anger is something that I'm in therapy for. Y'all know I'm all like really open about mental health and people in our community seeking help and going to therapy. You can't knock it until you try it, and it's always good to have an unbiased opinion. So my anger is something that I'm aware of, and it's something that I have a fear of exposing my children to. Um, but again, you're not gonna test me. Don't test my gangster, my boy, because D that you hear of, the stories that you hear of, you will get a glimpse of that. And that kind of it exploded to that because it became I'm doing all this and you still can't keep it 100 with me. Like I give you a safe place to be honest with me and you still take advantage of that and you don't give me a choice but to take away privileges and then you have to earn it because now I can't trust you. And then once I can't trust you, you ain't about to do nothing because I can't trust you. Because a liar is a liar. And of course, as a teenager, you're going to push back on that. And then that comes to, the room for disrespect. You're not going to disrespect me because the way I'm set up, I will flip the switch. I have some diagnosis to back it. Baby, I would flip the switch and become another person. And that has always been my fear, that other person like coming out and that sense of anger because you have disrespected me and it is a trigger and now I'm in protection mode due to some past trauma and you got me fucked up. Not funny, but that's where it became, to a point to where it was like, okay, you are at that critical age that I cannot stress my fear as a black mother because you are a black man and I know what society has waiting for you. I know how these trifling ass young girls, I know what they're being raised by because I'm out here. I'm dealing with their mamas and their mamas ain't shit. And I'm on TikTok talking about how y'all grown and still behaving like this. Y'all wasn't raised right, so I know y'all not raising y'all kids right. I can't stress that because I'm a woman. I can't prepare you for that because I'm a woman. I can only groom my son to be a man that, as a woman, I deem respectful, I deem acceptable, I deem a good man from a woman's perspective. But I can't teach you how to be a man because I'm not a man. I can't relate to certain things and certain feelings because I didn't go through that. So it became a hard conversation that I had to pray and go over with myself of, okay, now I'm at the crossroad and I am listening to the conversations and the conversations are repeating of I have to tread lightly at how I am painting his father because I don't want to push him away from me. I have to tread lightly on how I am trying to express my sacrifice and my hard work because I don't want to push him away from me. And I want there to constantly be an open gate of communication, an open gate of comfortability, so that when he do get older and get into some real life shit with these females, with school, with business, just with life with general, I want my baby to be able to come and talk to his mama. And I know there are some, some situations that have happened in life, and his father tries to talk to him, and he finds more comfort in coming to me. So I know that bond is there, but it's teenage age and puberty is involved, and I'm just not cool, and I'm just old and old fashioned, and I don't understand. Baby, it's hurtful. It's hurtful as hell. But the reality is, I have a young black man, and he can no longer relate to me because, you know, I'm a woman. So then I had to ponder, like, okay. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Mind you, I can't say my baby daddy. I haven't had a conversation with this nigga since this shit happened. And in that moment, I was trying to explain to everybody around him something wrong with him. He doing something. In order for him to betray me and I know his darkest secrets, something ain't right. I had to swallow my pride. I had to pray hard than a bitch and be like, all right, it's not about me. This is about my son. And I need to speak to this man on the level of, irregardless of what has happened between the moment we conceived our son to present day, I have to come to him with the mindfulness of, nigga, you have to go back and remember why we wanted to make this child. My son was an accident. My son was very, very planned out. Conversations in depth behind closed doors of what breaking generational curses would be like, what our future would be like, what type of child that we would like to have, and how we would foster this environment that will be the complete opposite of what we had to go through, right? Because it was a trauma bond and we were looking for acceptance, and that's was a product of our relationship, but we still made our son out of love, right? So I made the phone call, which was very difficult because again, I had to swallow my pride and I had to put myself back in a situation of, I need your help, right? You ain't been giving me child support. You don't show up when we need something. Your family steps up, but you are dealing with your own battles that are so heavy that you have forgotten that you carry the most important role of being a father. But again, you are a black man and you have been able to hide whatever struggles that you're dealing with. So you are a god in my son's eyes. So who am I to smudge that? But he is also up at the age that I need you to step up. And if you can't step up, then whatever happens next will be because you did not step up, right? So we have the conversation, and I'm just like, look, nigga, hey, you know, this is the last conversation I want to have. But this is the reality. You remember how crazy you was at this age and how you didn't have the father figure that you wanted to have, and you were surrounded by chaos, and how you felt unseen, unloved, unheard, unappreciated. So in return, you did some really ridiculous, dangerous, outrageous shit that led you in prison and menace to society. You remember that person? Okay, cool. And you also remember how I was when we met. Okay, cool. So we are now at that point that our son has a choice of who he is going to be as a young adult. And genetics are there. And right about now, he is looking at the path of becoming a menace to society. I don't give a fuck what you got going on. I need you to show up for our son. So what I'm going to do is I am going to allow you to teach him how to be a man for the rest of his high school. Baby, when I tell you that crushed me to even say those words. But I have homegirls whose kids are way older than mine, and it became to this point that they had to pass along the parenting stick. And that's really what co-parenting is about. At some point you got, it's not about you, it is about the child. And I can't teach this young boy how to be a man, but we are at a crucial countdown to where he's going to be let loose in society. We're not going to have any choice of what he does, who he does it with, and how he does it. So we need to, at some point now, come together, show this little nigga that, wait a minute, education, respect, boundaries is something that, irregardless of what you think us as parents got going on, we're going to come together because we know why we made you. And we know who you are and who you have the capabilities to be on both sides, on some shit and on some positive shit. But we ain't about to have you on some shit when I am making sure that you have the ability to be on some positive shit. And unbeknownst to my expectations, it was hell yeah. Fuck no. He not about to do that. Oh, he's doing that? Oh, okay. Pull up. And he did. And it's crazy because I went from hating this man for all the hurt that he has caused to, and God has a sick sense of humor. I pray for this man every day. Lord, heal him from what he's going through. Touch him from the top of his head to his bottom of his feet, and may he be the king that I know that he has in him because I once was in love with him. May that exude in a way that my son can follow in his steps. May all of his positive attributes transcend to the top. And anyone or anything that is trying to attack him not succeed because now my child is present. And it's crazy how the universe will bring things in 360. And sometimes you have to be careful of who you mistreat because that person alone can be very beneficial to you in a way that you can't even imagine. So I now cover the very person that I could not stand for the well being of my child. And it's a very humbling experience for myself, but it has allowed a space for us to communicate without negativity, for us to communicate without judgment, and for me to just be freely like, it ain't about the bitch you fucking with. Now, mind you, I struggle every day because I miss my child. I'm the sole custodial parent. I'm used to his habits, his noises, routine. I'm used to the cackle of both of my kids. I even miss the arguments. My child misses, her sibling, but with time comes adjustment. And raising kids is very difficult, very difficult. So sis is struggling. I call all day, every day, texting, memes, FaceTime, what's up, what you need, what, you ready to come home at any point, let me know, what's up. I'm in on the daddy. You good? How things going? I need to be involved in everybody that's associated with my child. Talk to me. Let the hood fairy put some healing in your life. Which, full circle, it may work out greater than I can comprehend. So at the end of the day, it's not for me. So what's the moral of the motherfucking story? Women, women, if you're listening to this, put your motherfucking pride aside. As much as we sacrifice and as much hard work we put in, at the end of the day, there are some things we cannot teach these babies. And being a man is one of them. If you don't have a positive male role model, if the father is not present, you must figure out a way to introduce your child, your son, to some type of positive male role models. There's so many mentorship programs if you are in the city. If you are not in the city, baby, I need you to get an uncle, a cousin, a great uncle. Go on his daddy side. If the daddy ain't around, he got to have somebody positive somewhere. Get in the church. I mean, it is your responsibility to ensure that your son has a plethora of positive male role models. If your son thinks the world of his father, You have no right to try to alter that image. Reality will unfold on its own. You can't protect them from making their own life choices. You can be a safe backup, you can have loving, open arms, but you have to be aware and you have to be present in where they are and who they desire to be. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And don't find me. Don't get in my inbox. It's not up for debate. I can't tell you how to live your life. All I can tell you is fuck around. Fuck around and push that baby away. Fuck around and push him to the streets. Fuck around and give him some resentment. Don't have him hurt your motherfucking feelings and you put in all this motherfucking work and then he start fucking with your ass and he start fucking with his daddy people because you've been putting these lies in his head because you bitter. Because your heart was broken by the man you laid with, so now you're trying to put a negative impact on your baby. That's all I'm saying. But it is what it is. This has been my time. Talk to y'all later. Bye. Thank you guys for tuning in again to another episode of the Judge Me Not podcast. If you want to keep up with your girl, you can always find me on Facebook and Instagram at NVD. That's ENVIIDEE. Bye.